It was a perfect Saturday afternoon when I pulled up to my cousin Jake's house in the upscale Willow Creek neighborhood. The sun was shining, the lawns were manicured, and I was buzzing with excitement for our long-planned weekend catch-up. I parked my car along the curb in a clearly marked public parking spot, grabbed my duffel bag from the trunk, and started strolling toward Jake's front door. That's when a sharp, commanding voice sliced through the air like a knife. "Excuse me, what do you think you're doing? You can't park there." I spun around, startled, to see a woman in her 50s storming toward me. Her platinum bob was flawless, her designer sunglasses gleamed, and her face was twisted in what looked like rehearsed fury like she'd spent years perfecting the art of being outraged. "I'm sorry," I said, genuinely confused, glancing back at my car to check for a no parking sign I might have missed. "This is a private neighborhood," she snapped, her voice climbing higher with every word. "Residents and approved, guests only. Move your car. Now." She crossed her arms, tapping her foot like I was a disobedient kid. Trying to keep things friendly, I explained, "I'm VY citing my cousin Jake. He lives right here." I pointed to his house, hoping that'd clear things up, but her eyes narrowed behind those oversized shades. "I don't care who you're VY citing. I'm Linda Harper, president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, and I don't recognize you or that car." She said president like it was a royal title, her chin tilting up with pride. "Well, I've never been here before," I said, forcing a smile to ease the tension. "It's my first time VY citing since Jake moved in." Linda whipped out her phone, her fingers flying. "What's your name? I'm documenting this violation." Her tone was so aggressive it made my stomach twist. "Ma'am, I'm parked legally on a public street," I said, keeping my voice steady. "This is not a public street," she shrieked, loud enough to make a neighbor peek through their blinds. "This is a private community, and I enforce the rules." Just then, Jake stepped out of his house, frowning as he caught sight of the scene. "Hey, what's going on?" he asked, looking between me and Linda. "Jake, thank God," I said, relieved. "This lady says I can't park here." Linda barely glanced at him before launching in. "Your guest is parked illegally. He needs to move his car, or I'm calling the police." Jake blinked, confused. "Linda, he's my cousin, staying for the weekend. He's in a regular street spot. There's no issue here." But Linda drew herself up, still shorter than both of us, and went off. "Jake, you know the rules. All VY citers must be registered with the HOA 48 hours in advance, and parking is only allowed in designated areas." Her voice had this sing-song quality, like she was reciting a script she'd weaponized 100 times. "That's not true," Jake shot back, shaking his head. "Visitor registration is for the clubhouse and pool. The street's public property, maintained by the city. We've been over this with other neighbors." I stood there, clutching my bag, watching this absurd showdown unfold. Linda was now snapping photos of my license plate, her lips curled in a smug grin. "Linda, what are you doing?" Jake asked, his patience fraying. "Documenting the violation," she said. "Your cousin will get a fine, and if he doesn't move his car in 5 minutes, I'm calling the cops." I couldn't believe it. This woman was threatening to call the police over a legally parked car. Neighbors were starting to gather, some on porches, others peeking from windows, their faces a mix of curiosity and secondhand embarrassment. "Look, I don't want trouble," I said, trying to stay calm. "I'm parked legally, and I'm Jake's guest. There's no need for police." Linda looked at me like I'd suggested something insane. "You're trespassing on private property and refusing to leave when instructed by the HOA president. That's a police matter." She yanked out her phone again and started dialing. Jake stepped closer. "Linda, this is ridiculous. You're abusing your position. The streets are public, and my cousin's welcome here." She held up a hand to silence him, then spoke into the phone, her voice suddenly high-pitched and shaky, like she was terrified. "Yes, hello. I need to report a trespasser refusing to leave our private community. He's being confrontational and won't move his vehicle. I feel threatened." Jake and I exchanged looks of pure disbelief. She was lying through her teeth, painting me as some dangerous intruder. "He's a tall man. I don't recognize him." Acting suspiciously, she continued, shooting me a triumphant glance that screamed anything but fear. That's completely false, I said loudly, hoping the operator could hear. I'm just VY citing my cousin and parked legally. Linda turned away, her voice quivering for effect. See, he's getting aggressive. Please send someone quickly. I'm the HOA president, protecting our neighborhood. When she hung up, she smirked. The police will sort this out. If you'd followed the rules, we wouldn't be here. Jake was Lee VYD. Linda, you just made a false police report. That's a crime. She waved him off. It's not false. He's trespassing, and I have the authority to decide who's allowed here. As we waited for the cops, more neighbors emerged. An older man, George, approached cautiously. Linda, I couldn't help overhearing, he said gently. But those VY cider parking rules you mentioned, they were voted down at the last HOA meeting. The streets are public. Linda's face turned crimson. Stay out of this, George. You don't understand the legalities. A woman walking her dog paused nearby. Is everything okay? She asked. Before Linda could speak, Jake explained. The woman rolled her eyes. Again, Linda? Seriously? It was clear this wasn't Linda's first power trip. 15 minutes later, 2 police officers pulled UPA younger guy, maybe late 20s, and an older sergeant with a no-nonsense VYB. Someone reported a trespasser? The sergeant asked, scanning the crowd. Linda stepped forward, all confidence. Yes, officers, I'm Linda Harper, president of Willow Creek HOA. This man parked illegally in our private community and refused to leave. He's been confrontational, and we have strict VY cider rules for safety. I waited for her to finish before speaking calmly. Officers, I'm just VY citing my cousin Jake for the weekend. I parked legally on this public street. Ms. Harper approached me aggressively, demanded I move my car, and called you when I explained I'm a guest. Jake backed me up. He's my cousin, officers. He's parked legally, and there's no VY cider registration for street parking. The sergeant nodded, turning to me. May I see your license, sir? I handed it over, and Jake showed his, confirming his address. The sergeant looked at Linda. Ma'am, are you saying this is a private road, not maintained by the city? Linda faltered. Well, it's within our HOA community, so the sergeant cut in. Is it a public street maintained by the city, or a private road owned by your association? Her confidence crumbled. It's technically a city street, but our HOA has rules. Ma'am, the sergeant said firmly, if it's a public street, anyone can park here legally. Your HOA has no jurisdiction. The younger officer, who checked my car, chimed in. Sarge, no violations. Linda doubled down. Our covenants say VY ciders must register with the HOA. George stepped forward. Officers, that rule was voted down 3 months ago. It's on our community website. Linda snapped. George, mind your own business. The dog-walking woman spoke up. I'm on the HOA board. Robert's right. We voted it down because it's unenforceable on public streets. Linda was the only one against it. Linda's face shifted from fury to panic. You're all misrepresenting this. The sergeant faced her, his body camera on. Ma'am, you told 911 you felt threatened and reported a trespasser. Correct. Yes, because he wouldn't comply, she insisted. But he's on a public street where your rules don't apply, right? The sergeant pressed. Linda stammered. He was confrontational. The younger officer looked at me. Did you threaten Ms. Harper? Absolutely not, I said. I was confused and explained I was VY citing. Jake added I saw most of it. My cousin was calm. Linda was the one making threats. The sergeant sighed. Ms. Harper, making a false police report is a criminal offense. You should know, as HOA president, that public streets aren't your jurisdiction. You claimed you felt threatened, but witnesses say otherwise. The younger officer whispered something to him, and the sergeant nodded. Ms. Harper, turn around and place your hands behind your back. Linda's jaw dropped. What? You can't be serious. You're under arrest for filing a false police report and misuse of emergency SARE VYCS, the sergeant said, reading her rights as her face cycled through shock, rage, and fear. This is outrageous, she screamed as they cuffed her. I'm the HOA president. I'll sue your whole department. The younger officer guided her to the patrol car as she ranted. The sergeant addressed the crowd. Folks, We're sorry for the disturbance. False reports waste resources needed for real emergencies. As the police car drove off with Linda fuming in the back, neighbors approached Jake and me to apologize. 3 days later, Jake forwarded me an HOA email. The board apologized for the incident and announced Linda's removal as president, effective immediately. She faced a $5,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. Jake heard she left the courthouse after her arraignment, mascara streaked, ranting about a conspiracy to oust her. But the neighbors' relieved faces told a different story. Linda's reign of terror was over. So what do you think? Was Linda just trying to protect her neighborhood? Or was she a power-hungry tyrant who got what she deserved? Should HOAs have more control over public spaces? Or is that a recipe for chaos? And let's get real, have you ever dealt with someone like Linda? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if this story got your blood pumping, and subscribe for more wild tales.